my little sister, honestly, who's much younger than us, wore a Dalmatian costume for years of her childhood and wouldn't wear anything else. So it was like there was a girl sister, a boy sister, and a dog sister.
Hello and welcome to the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast. I am your host, your roast-coming queen, a girl who once brought a Build-A-Bear from the mall to the lead singer of this rockabilly band that she liked, Alise Morales. And with us today, we have such a funny comedian and author. They are the host of the Queery podcast on Earwolf. But before all of that, they were a graduate from the Bennett Academy. It's Cameron Esposito.
Yes, hello. I love that Build-A-Bear fact.
Yes, there was a space-themed rockabilly band from my area called The Phenomena, and I was in love with them. I was obsessed with them.
Where did you grow up?
Northern Virginia.
And like what time period? You're like definitely older than me. I can see.
Early 2000s.
Okay.
So like 2000. But I would say that my peak time of seeing the Phenomenauts was like 2006 and 2007.
Yes. The reason I ask is because like this would have been a ska band if it was when I was in high school. Like that's
I did love ska.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I had ska moments, but there was something about this. The Phenomenauts were like different. They were in a league apart.
Yeah, I didn't mean to like put them in a, but I just my first boyfriend was in a ska band, with guitar, and also wore a rainbow belt when he performed, and was like 6'3" Filipino dude who was also the center of the basketball team, which is like a slightly unusual demographic.
Yeah.
And he played guitar. I cannot remember the name of his band, but they would open for this band. It was called Lucky Boys Confusion.
That's a really good ska band name.
Right? Which actually, like, then with the abbreviation was LBC, which was supposed to also refer to Long Beach County here in California. But this is like the suburbs of Chicago. Lucky Boys Confusion could not have been like a bigger, because they would sometimes get played on Q101, the alternative station down in the city, and to like go see Jason, this boyfriend, perform with his band, and then like you couldn't even believe it because I was like with the openers, you know what I mean? Because then like Lucky Boys Confusion would come on and you'd be like, I'm with the openers at the all ages venue that then also had like a foam party.
I was about to ask, like, number one, what was the venue that you always went to? What was it called? Or
oh God, I cannot remember because so it was right next to or near Zero Gravity. Zero Gravity was the all ages like dance club that was. I didn't go to high school. I went to high school far geographically from my hometown. Like my hometown had a public high school. My parents it was very important to them that I go to a Catholic school. And that was a half an hour away. And so I would take the train there, like a passenger train, not like a subway.
Yes.
And anyway, I was going west, away from the city, further into the suburbs, and then out there was where like Zero Gravity was the full haps.
And you mentioned literally just the mention of foam parties really took me back, because I never went to a foam party, but I would be at the mall and like some weird man would be handing out like pamphlets to go to a foam party. And it always seemed like in my mind as a high schooler, I was like, well, this is the most sexual environment that I could think of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the other thing that I will just say about like sexual environments and specifically this first boyfriend, he was, by the way, he was like the nicest man in the world. He came to a show 10 years ago. It was like the first time since high school. but he also was in like a dance troupe that would do like all of the choreographed boy band dances. So he was like a jock who played football and basketball, but he was also like very skinny.
Mm-hmm.
He was also a guitarist who would wear like a white tank top with a rainbow belt. And then he also was part of a dance troupe that, like, you know, you're at the dance, there's like a circle. It's like him and his friend Joe that are like doing the full like in sync dance.
The picture that you're painting of this first boyfriend is like a fully self-actualized person. Like
you named it. He had like hobbies and interests. He was not limited. He was unlimited by his potential was boundless. Yeah.
As a teenager, I was so scared to try anything.
Well, I did a lot of stuff in high school too, but this boyfriend really like does stand out as somebody who was like really doing their own thing in like a pretty cool way.
Yeah. It's just in high school, it was like so hard to like cross genres. I felt like I know that like I felt very like I was an emo theater kid, and that is where I had to like be and live, and anything that was outside of that, like I wouldn't be welcomed there, and also like I couldn't possibly.
Yeah, I wonder like I you know, we only know like our impressions of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
but how I think of myself in high school is sort of as like one of those people that sort of like knows everybody and does a lot of different types of things. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that was all like, it wasn't all coming from like a place of self-confident, you know, like it's not like it was like, wow, she's perfect. It was more like, I think that there was a little bit of an overachieving thing going on. I also think that I didn't really necessarily know what I liked, so I just tried a lot of things. But I really was like fully a jock. Mm-hmm. And then also like senior year was doing plays. I was very funny. I was also like on the student government, and I was pretty like, I was kind of a kiss up, but I used the fact that I like knew all of the deans and teachers to like get away with a lot of shit.
So that's what I was gonna ask you is like, we've learned about the boyfriend. Now let's learn about you. Where would you have like, so you're saying like you were a jock living in that world, but also like where socially would you put yourself in the order of things?
So like, you know, there's like the popular kids who drink. Mm-hmm. Like that's like sort of a category of people. And I wasn't in that group of people. That's like the sort of everybody at the time, it was like a lot of like highlights. It was just like there was a lot of sex also. Yeah. People having sex.
Yes.
So there's like that group of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like sort of like below that group off to the side are like the people that like my lunch table, you know, you like sat at a lunch table when I went to school. Yes. And my lunch table was like a mega jock who had 8 siblings, who was my best friend, mm-hmm. who was like known in the school, like her family name was known in the school. And then like a person who never did anything and was not involved and never stayed after school and signed up for 0 clubs at all, who was just like super funny. Mm-hmm. And then the like star of all of the theater department stuff. And then someone who was like pretty good at everything, like pretty good at school, pretty good at like the well-rounded person. And then I think I was kind of like the like mega involved student government one. But it was like it was like this table that wasn't like, we all didn't share one thing. It was like what united us was like, we were like the sub-popular kids. Yeah.
It feels the sub pops. You were the sub pops. It feels like very like almost like Lord of the Rings, like you have a member of every class here and like one representative from every group sits at the table.
Yeah.
Like you were appointed by like, okay, and the jocks have chosen this person, etc.
So like I had that first boyfriend.
Yes.
That was just freshman year. And then I broke up with him because I'm a heartless lesbian. I started dating the person who became like my like high school boyfriend, like the person who I dated him for the rest of high school, and then I dated him for some of college. And he was the captain of the football team. Like he was the best athlete at the school. He was like they used to have him run the 4x100 meter relay, the anchor leg, and he wasn't on the track team. They would just be like, would you consider coming by? And he would be like, yes. And then they would
please, sir.
He would seriously. And then he would just like, so he's like incredibly gifted. And then all of his friends were football players. So there was this sort of thing going on where like, because I also think like I was like a little bit of an oddball in that like I wanted to be friends with a lot of different types of people. I like had a wide variety of gender expressions, like from like knee socks to then like much later, and by the time I was a senior, like I was wearing platform steel-toed white Doc Marten boots.
That's a huge change.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a big difference. Yeah.
It was a big difference in presentation, and it was also like I think I was friendly with like the really popular people, but then I also got invited to the like birthday party of the head of the recycling club, and it was like a pool party, and I went. You know, like so I think I sort of, because I was queer but couldn't place that that's what was going on. But then also had this boyfriend that sort of like repelled all accusations. Like nobody asked me what was going on with me. I think I just sort of was like in my own category.
Yeah, it's interesting because to be the girlfriend of like such a like the athlete, the school's top athlete, that's usually like a position reserved for the it girl or an it girl.
But I was the mascot of the football team. And I've like talked about this a lot in my stand-up, but it is actually really true. Like, how could that be my life? You're right. That is the position filled by the it girl, but the it girl isn't wearing steel-toed boots and also a giant red bird. Like, so I think what was happening? Like, I've been confused ever since.
So you were the actual mascot? Okay, you're the first actual mascot we've had.
Oh my God, really?
On the podcast.
Mascot.
So you really are breaking, I would say you're breaking a lot of barriers, because in the world of like teen culture, the mascot and the it girl are never, there's no overlap there.
No, I know. I mean, and that boyfriend and I, we were voted like class couple, like our superlative in senior year, you know, like in the yearbook. I was also voted next Janine Garofalo, which is also a very funny thing when you, like, I've worked with Janine, you know, so I've never said this to her, but maybe someday.
You were doing plays as well, though. Which plays did you do? What was your relationship with the theater program at your school?
So I always had like a overdeveloped sense of humor, and senior year at my school, there are these one-act plays that are directed by students, right? And so like it's like the people that have been in the theater department the whole time get the opportunity to pick their play and then direct it.
Yes.
Cast it. And this is my first like there wasn't like any comedy, like an improv, like there was none of that stuff going on. So this was the first thing that I auditioned for, like since middle school when I had been in some plays. My friend Michael, who I had run for student council president and vice president with, we come back to that.
I was like, put a pin in that one.
He was directing a play, and I went and auditioned, and I got cast as this, I cannot remember what the play is called, but it's about a like caper has happened, a crime has happened. There's a grandmother character who is on stage the entire time, and you think that she can't speak, and then like the reveal, or you think she can't hear or speak, you think she's out of it, and then the reveal is like the last line of the play is her being like, I was here the whole time, whatever it is. So that's one line.
But you had to sit on stage the entire time.
I had to sit on stage the entire time, and was like in like white, like they like spray painted my hair white, and I was wearing like a thrifted old like knit skirt set. Anyway, I say all of this because it was super fun, and then the drama department had like awards every year, and I got best newcomer, but I didn't even know to go to the awards show, and I have never received that trophy.
Well,
can you believe that?
That's because you know what, they could have gotten you that trophy because they could get your schedule, they could find you.
It's not even hard.
I know. Any other trophy, if you miss the award show, you still get the trophy. Exactly. Right? And it's on the school to let you know that you're up for an award and that you need to show up to the awards. So that's not on you. Though I do imagine as like a theater kid who was like in it, like deep in the theater thing, I'm like, this it girl shows up one play.
Yeah, this too? Yeah, exactly.
One play. She's got one line. She wins best newcomer when I've been slugging it out in the chorus of all these goddamn
100%,
plays.
100%.
So in what other ways were you like, did you do comedy at all at this time? Were you being funny in your capacity as student body president or whatever you were? Like, were you being funny, giving speeches? Like, what was your relationship to comedy?
Well, I mean, I've always been a fan of the in-class presentation. Like, I literally don't need to even prep. You don't have to read the book. I don't have to have any knowledge of the subject. I'm going to do just fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, that was always part of it. But so I actually wasn't, this is the story. There was this guy, Ashwin, who had not been part of the student council. Bernie Sanders type, coming in with big dreams, trying to shake things up. He's like, this is all corrupt. Like, everybody is focused on like planning dances, but they should be this way or whatever it is. Okay. Right? So he asked me going into senior year if I would run as the president and he would be the vice president.
Oh, wow.
And I did not think that a woman could be elected president at my high school.
Oh my God.
And so I turned him down. And I asked my friend Michael to run as president, and I ran as his VP. I think honestly hoping to like it's a bit of like a Kamala Harris situation.
Yeah.
Like, Michael was...
You were hoping he would pass and you would...
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Today's episode of the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast is brought to you by Candid. I've got a wedding coming up. I'd like to make sure that my smile is as gorgeous and sparkling as it can possibly be for my wedding day. And, Candid's the key. Candid is the key. Candid clear aligners are comfortable, removable, and practically invisible, unlike wire braces. So you can transform your smile without anyone noticing. Plus, your treatment is prescribed and monitored remotely by a licensed orthodontist who's an expert in tooth movement. Fun fact, my first real boyfriend in high school always said he wanted to be an orthodontist, which is a weird thing for a kid to want to be. It's boring for a kid to want to be that, but God bless it. So, hey, maybe you get Candid Maybe you get linked up with him. He was a nice guy. He was a good kid. Plus, it's all done from the comfort and convenience of your own home. Okay, so you get the orthodontist, you start talking to my ex, you're doing this all from the comfort of your own home. And Candid only works with orthodontists, never general dentists, like other companies. Plus, your supervising orthodontist will be with you every step of the way, just as my ex was with me every step of the way of transferring from a regular English into honors English, which was actually a really, really stressful process for me at the time. And he was really with me then. Okay, with Candid, your treatment includes remote monitoring by the same orthodontist who created your plan. Again, just like him on AIM, checking in, saying, how's the situation going? Do you know if you're able to switch classes? And you never have to wonder how you're doing. You always know, and I love that. So the average Candid treatment is just 6 months. You'll start seeing results way before then, and it costs thousands less than braces. So start straightening your teeth today. Right now, all of our listeners can save $75 on Candid Starter Kit. Go to candidco.com/teenself and use code TEENSELF. That's candidco.com/teenself, code TEENSELF. Take advantage of this limited time offer to save $75 on your starter kit. candidco.com/teenself, code TEENSELF. Do it. Straighten your teeth.
Ashwin ran as president with there were these really amazing twins where they were identical twins, but they were super different sizes because one of them played football and one of them was in the band. He ran on a ticket with the football twin. And
okay, I thought you were going to say he ran on a ticket with both of them, and I was going to be like, wait, so the twins ran as one unit?
It's like big twin, little twin. Like, they're identical, and they weigh 80 pounds different. Like, it was like...
It would be impossible to beat a ticket with big twin and little twin. You can't. That's too powerful.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Anyway, we lost to Ashwin and the big twin. Yeah. And it was honestly, it still is I know this is like, I know it's high school, but like, I still regret this lack of faith in myself. Like, that really sucks. And it completely sucked that like this person won specifically. Also, he did a great job. And when was the last time I heard from him? A bunch of years ago, but like I still heard from him after school and everything. But because I wasn't president, then I just invented my own job, which was called the President of the Spirit Club, which was a committee that I founded within the student government that not only like was the mascot, but also did like, grease paint on the face.
Oh, huge.
And rented buses and like went to all the sporting events.
Wow. That is, so you basically invented like honestly, like a shamanic, like a spiritual position for you to have. It's like, I will take on being like the kind of the spiritual leader of school spirit.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is what's important to me, and that's what I did instead. So I was still part of student government, but I was the president of Rho Epsilon Delta, which stood for red.
So when you were doing this, like, okay, walk me through, like, it's game day. What does teenage Cameron have on her plate on that day?
Well, actually, this is why I brought this specific photograph.
Okay, great. So yeah, we can start pulling up some of the photos now too.
So I would wear, I would wear a Superman t-shirt, a bandana around my head, and then face paint. And I would go to all of the sports games, and how people sometimes have like a giant flag, like it's like It's not a regular size flag.
It's really
extremely large flag. They run up and down the sidelines.
Yeah.
And they wave the flag. So like
Trump supporters have taken that tactic now, but it used to be a fun thing for everyone.
I also think it might be the job of like the male cheerleader. You know what I mean? Like that's that like I didn't want to be a cheerleader, but I sort of wanted to be like a male cheerleader, you know, but that didn't exist at my school. So I made it up. And to senior year, there was a dance at my school that was themed famous couples. And many of there's like a group photo. Everybody here, like, two of my friends are like Dick Tracy and Breathless Mahoney, and one is like the Good Witch of the whatever and the Wizard of Oz, and one is like Tinkerbell and the person who's flexing, whatever.
Tinkerbell and flexing guy.
My boyfriend and I went as each other.
So this is you guys as each other.
Yes. So he is wearing my like game day uniform and I am wearing his. And I wore his actual football uniform to the dance.
Oh my God.
And everybody else was wearing, if you go back to the group picture, even though it was like a themed possible costume dance, everybody else was still wearing like a full floor-length ball gown.
Yeah, I was like, most of them are leaning hard to like dance.
And this is me. I brought an actual football with me to the dance. I like in this photo, I'm like in a full sports kneeling position, and he is sitting on my lap and like
being like a girl. He's doing like girl.
Yep.
Were you like a political teen at all? Because I know now you talk about all the issues on your podcast, your stand-up. But at the time, were you like politically aware or involved? Because for me, I was very like, fuck George Bush.
Well, I was, but it is confusing because so like I was raised super Catholic, but I was also into it. Like I thought that Catholicism was like really rad, and specifically there's like a part of Catholicism that's called liberation theology. It's super leftist. It's like the part that believes that like Jesus was a socialist that is like trying to overthrow the power structure to like redistribute wealth and opportunity to the poor.
Yes.
You know, it's the part of, so anyway, the wing of Catholicism, this wing of Catholicism also actually overthrows governments. Like in South and Central America, there are priests that like have done that political action work. I don't, you know, I didn't at the time see that like, oh, this larger institution is like colonialism and is a corporation and is, you know, has all of this other shit going on. I just thought like faith and religion, and specifically this religion, is like how you make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Through direct action, like not through prayer, but through like actually like protesting and like fucking shit up.
Yeah, well, I just read People's History of the United States, and they talk about like how there used to be like radical nuns who would like hold hands in traffic and stuff to protest like capitalism.
I like know those nuns, right? So like, but here's what's confusing. Those nuns, it's also still Catholicism. So like things that are important to that group of people is still like restricting access to abortion, making sure people don't have premarital sex, making sure nobody's gay, you know, like, and so you actually end up with like this very confused worldview that's like, damn the man, I'm a Republican, you know, like, and that is like the first time I could vote, I voted for George W. Bush because I actually thought that like that these things could, it's like take the messaging of the very far left and the messaging of the very far right, and somehow those things, the way that those things have in common that they are extreme, that is like what my political
that's where you were at that
like,
point.
Go build houses for the poor, but don't allow for social programs. You know, like it's a very confusing.
So you're involved in radical Catholicism. You're dating this boy. You're involved in all these different clubs. What was your relationship to your sexuality at that time?
I was saving myself for marriage, which is why I wrote a book that is called Save Yourself that came out the first week of the pandemic, which is one thing a book could be titled, not the first week of the pandemic.
Yeah. Wow. Prescient.
Still a bestseller, but a shocking thing to have to promote.
Yeah.
Like literally my publisher's like, the hashtag is save yourself. And I'm like, I don't think that's.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work this week.
Right now.
This particular week.
I actually thought that like nobody masturbated and masturbation was a sin. I also thought that like sex was something that should happen till marriage. I also had sex dreams about like my friends. I mean, it was like, again, super confusing.
Yeah. Did you have like a lot of like the queer guests that I've had on the pod have talked about sort of like a celebrity that it's like I pretended to be a fan of or hate this celebrity, but it was really there was something very deeply sexual going on.
So the back of my door in my bedroom growing up was all like men's heads. Which is for sure like a terrifying serial killer. Like it was like I would like cut around their faces, you know. So some people might put up like a full magazine picture, but I would cut around their faces, and then it was like if you shut my door, it was just like all of these dudes, right? But on my wall were posters of Alicia Silverstone, who I was obsessed with. And I also was like obsessed with, you know, Clueless and also like Batman because partially of her, you know, and also the Aerosmith videos.
Well, she's a good one too because she's in all these like quote unquote like girl adjacent movies or like movies that like straight girl can see and like that's fine, you know. She's not like a super babe like model type where it would be like, okay, why do you have posters of her?
That's exactly right. I mean, also she's got like a little bit of a thing going on in terms of like some like confusing sexy energy. I would still think if I met her I would die. Like still to that.
Clueless was like my number one. I would go to sleepovers at my friend Elizabeth's house and we would always just watch Clueless every time. And it was like we would have a sleepover every weekend and every weekend we would just watch Clueless. And it was the coolest movie I'd ever seen. And it was so funny and I didn't even understand what I was watching. And it was my favorite thing.
Do you know the Aerosmith videos I'm talking about, or are you like too?
Yeah, I do know the Aerosmith videos. I mean, I couldn't like make a shot for shot recreation of them right now, but I know that she was in Aerosmith videos.
That's actually important that you say that. Because Crazy, I think it's Crazy, not Crying, the other one. So like Crazy is, so you know, I was at a Catholic high school where you had to wear a uniform. And actually Diablo Cody went to my high school.
Oh.
And so if you've ever seen Jennifer's Body, the like outfit that Megan Fox is wearing, specifically in the poster, that's like our high school uniform.
Wow.
And anyway, so it's like a gray plaid skirt sort of a thing, and then like a button-down shirt. By the way, I was always breaking the dress code to the degree where they would make me change into like shirts that they had in the office and then hang my shirt in the office as an example of shirts you can't wear. Because I was always wearing fluorescent pink. You're only allowed to wear baby pink.
I was gonna ask what type of dress code violation, because I was like, was it like all crop tops or
It was
like?
like such a serious dress code. It was like
Mhm.
your collars had to be able to button down.
Mhm.
And also
Ah.
like, you like were only allowed to wear baby pink, blue, or white shirts. If you were a boy, you're only allowed to wear blue or white. Why would you wear pink? That's
So
insane.
the boys weren't even allowed to wear the pink shirt.
No.
But if you were a girl, could you wear the blue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then
Interesting. It's just interesting to figure out what the rules are and why.
well, I mean, yeah, men can't be women. I mean, that's
No.
insane. Yeah.
And if he wanted to wear the pink shirt, then something's terribly, terribly wrong.
Exactly. And so then anyway, it was like down to the shoes, like what colors are permitted and like the type of shoes that they can be. For instance, white steel-toed Doc Martens are not part of the dress code.
Yeah.
They are what I wore. Which is why my conduct grade was almost always nearly failing, even though I was getting like straight A's.
They were just because of a shade of pink. It's
Also,
so
I was always
funny.
late. I was always late. I
Ah.
was constantly in detention, but then like knew the, proctor or whatever. Like it was just like,
What made you late? Were you like a, I'm gonna go to McDonald's in the morning kid, or were you just like a, I cannot get up at 5 a.m. or whatever your high school had you do?
yeah, like I had to leave my house at 7:27 to be
Mhm.
able to park and go inside. And
Mhm.
that tells you what kind of late. If you still at like 20 years later remember the exact minute.
I was about to say, to the minute you have that number.
And that means you are like squealing in and like running to class. You don't even have time to stop at your locker. Like that's what that time is. But I also was on the swim team and sometimes would have to be there for 5 a.m. practices. And so those were the only days I was ever on time. Is because there'd be like an hour and a half or something like that where I was just supposed to be showering.
Let's look through the pictures that we haven't seen yet, and just see. Okay, this is a
my uniform, but just this is like an example.
So wait, this is the uniform or no?
Not my uniform. This is like this is a like a dress down day, like a day where you don't have to wear your uniform.
But you go with a uniform look anyway.
I'm like, this is, well, I think that like truly the uniform like saved my ass so much because like just I didn't understand how I wanted to present gender wise. And like, what a relief to have there be like strict rules. So you're right. Like, then it's like, and it was like also, this was like a very preppy time in fashion, Abercrombie, whatnot. And I just was like, oh, thank God. Yeah, I can wear anything I want, but I know I'm still going to wear a uniform because like, at least I know what this looks like.
The outfit that the American Girl doll Molly comes with is this exact outfit.
That's my favorite. That obviously she's gay. Just so you know, that's of course that's the one. That's she has a dog and stuff.
She has glasses and a dog, so she's the one who's gay.
She
she really likes history. Like she's gay.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I feel like that's so interesting because like now I feel like you have a very iconic style, very like you've got a stylish shirt on at this moment. I feel like you have like a very like you have like a look. And it's just so interesting to look back at you then. And I feel like in this picture, I can see you being like, I don't really want to be wearing this, but I also don't even know what I want to be wearing.
I mean, the other thing is like, I still wear a uniform, like if you were a kid, because I had that also in like elementary school and then high school. And it's like, if that happens for you, I think it's like hard to ever get out of that because like, today I wear like button downs and like khakis. And then like before that, I used to wear like literally the same. I had it just, if you open my drawers, it was the same pair of black jeans and the same navy blue t-shirt. And it was just 2 stacks of those things.
Like a cartoon character.
Like a cartoon character or like Mark Zuckerberg, who also
Yes. So this photo I feel like is a cute fashion moment.
So this is my sister and she is 3 years older than me, but like 4 school years. And so when I was a freshman, she had just graduated, and she was like actually a member of the pom pom squad, and like not super involved the way that I was, but she's a dancer and like would go take classes downtown the city of Chicago, like dance and all this stuff. And she was very glamorous and hot, or we thought she was hot. And then I just came along, and I just feel like I'm like in this photo, I'm just like, that's like what it was like always.
What is that like to go into a high school in the legacy of an older sister who was hot?
I just think that like, she had like a hot girl reputation. And I think that when I first was meeting people and they were like, oh, I think then people just had to understand that like I've said this before. It's like there was like a girl sister, a boy sister, and then my little sister, honestly, who's much younger than us, wore a Dalmatian costume for years of her childhood and wouldn't wear anything else. So it was like there was a girl sister, a boy sister, and a dog sister. Like, like the ideal situation, but 3 girls. And
I mean,
people just had to be like, oh, this one's not that one.
Yeah. All right, let's look at a couple more of these pictures before we wrap it up. Okay.
This is me with my best friend.
Is this the friend you were in love with and had the breakfast with? Well, it's pretty palpable what's going on here.
Normal friendship.
Yeah. Definitely just 2 girls who are friends.
I touch myself. It's like it was in Austin Powers at the time. It was on that soundtrack, and that was our song with each other. And our other song with each other was "You're Still the One" by Shania Twain, which I requested for her at dances that I was attending with my boyfriend.
Oh my god!
It's a bit of a thing.
Did you have like any inkling to yourself? Like, did you admit at all to yourself, like, this is a crush? Or were you like, no, this is my very normal amount of feelings for my friend?
It was the second one. I mean, even when I got to college, like there was a woman I was like best friends with and obsessed with freshman year. Then there was a woman that I wrote poetry for, at the end of freshman year. But like sophomore year, there was a woman who I would like learned to play a certain song on the guitar and like serenaded her in the dining hall. And then thank God at the end of sophomore year, I finally met like another queer woman, and then we like made out. But like prior to that, I was just like,
yeah. And was that something you had to like negotiate within the world of Boston College where you couldn't be out? Like, was this a fellow student?
Yeah, it was super intense. Yeah.
That's very intense.
We were closeted for a bunch of years, and then like had like a sort of a fake public boyfriend, and it was super damaging.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it would be really, really difficult. Was there any part of you that didn't want to go? Like, were you, when you were deciding to like go to colleges or whatever, did you want to go to another religious institution because that's where you felt comfortable? Was there like part of you that wanted to be like, oh, maybe I could explore if I didn't go into another Catholic space?
I was like still a believer at the time, and I was a theology major and a faith, peace, and justice minor, and lived in Rome for a while. Yep. And I think that actually, the way I was raised was like and then what I internalized from that, I just fully thought it was me. Like I didn't know that many people that weren't raised Catholic, or if I did know them because they were like from my town, we didn't talk about what was different in my household versus their household. So like, even when I was at school in love with this person and not coming out, it wasn't because I thought like, fuck this place, I should be able to come out. It was like, I was devastated. I thought that I was going to hell, which is a real place. And I thought that, like, my life was over and I wouldn't have any friends or a career.
So do you feel like maybe some of the like dipping into all of these different activities and like trying to, it seems like you like had a very busy life of involvement with all these different things and these like long-term boyfriends and relationships, was a lot of that just kind of part of trying to tamp down this other part of you that you weren't really able to engage with at all?
Yeah, when the thing that you want to be is like thought of as disgusting, I think that's like a lot to contend with.
Yeah.
That's why you join the swim team.
And ultimately that is like
5 o'clock in the morning. Because like maybe I could be something else.
Yeah. That truly breaks my heart. And I do feel like we're coming to the end here. So the last question that I like to always ask everyone, and I feel like it fits in nicely with what we were just talking about, but if you could talk to teen Cameron today, what would you say?
I would show this person several films and ask them to identify what's going on in their genitals and
touch the part on the doll that you feel.
But I think also just like I think I could always think I'm a little more cool than I do feel like I am. Like talking about that first boyfriend who was like so actualized and doing all this different stuff. Like, you know, I also was myself, you know, like to be like, I'm not the cheerleader, but I'm this other guy, you know, like I don't think that I still don't think that I give myself credit for the way in which I create space to be who I actually am. I think it's that's a hard thing to do because, you know, you feel like, I think sometimes I feel like maybe that's arrogant or gross, but I just have always created some space around me to be who I am, and I think that's pretty amazing. And I hope that someday I get a chance to just like sit still for a second and be like, good job, kiddo.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I think that's a perfect place for us to end it. This was so great. It was so awesome talking to you. I really enjoyed having you on the show. And for everyone listening at home, this has been the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast.